All right, welcome back to Late Night Love Parenting. It is equal parts joy, exhaustion, and wondering if you're doing any of it right. In today's segment, we're talking about baby food debates, bedtime battles, and the endless questions kids throw at us that Google can't even answer. Well, we're all a little lucky for that. So, do you really want Google answering your parenting questions? Just think about it. I'm just saying. Because nowadays, it's not Google you're asking, it's Google's AI you're asking. Do you really want Google's? I'm a user of AI. I use it all the time. But do you really want AI answering your parenting questions? My answer would be no. I'd rather guess and do it myself than ask. Because you never know where it's pulling its information from. It could be pulling it from Reddit like we do. Or Wikipedia, or any of these things that, could be true or could not be true, and who knows? And how does AI decide, It's not going to be any better than that. But anyway, before we get started, please remember you can send us your questions, comments, suggestions to love@latenightLove.us, and you can go to latenightLove.us and find all of the previous shows and whatnot. And one of these days, I'll make that site actually useful. Just can't imagine what it will look like, and so it's hard. It's hard when you can't visualize, when you don't see pictures in your head.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of visualize things. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out one of these years. All right, what is first?
Okay, this is for the young children crowd. Puree versus table food. What did you start with at 6 months and why? Well, because that's what's healthy for them, is to start if they're ready. You try, you offer, and you can try table food and put it through a puree grinder. There's puree grinders you can use right at the table. It's for your table food. So that is really could be a savings there. And if they can eat Cheerios, they can have little bits of table food. Try it out. See how they like it. How about you, babe?
I don't have a good enough memory to go back. My youngest one's 27. Is that how old Summer is? I think. Something like that. Anyway, I don't have a memory to go back over 25 years to remember what the heck exactly our food things were, because we had different things for all of the children. I don't remember us making a big deal out of any of it, to be honest. That's all I really remember. I don't remember exact times or dates. I just remember the kids kind of dictated when they ate and when they did what.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have any of the children on a schedule. We didn't worry about 6 months, 7 months, 5 months. It's when they seemed ready to do their next thing, we did the next thing. So, I don't know. My suggestion is don't overthink it. If you're really seriously asking the questions, what's the next stage? It's probably the thing to take the next stage. Your specific answers, whether it's purees versus table foods, some of that's going to be cultural. Some people are just going to go to the store and buy what companies package for babies at that age, and they're going to just follow that, figuring that's what the masses do. And if you follow along with the masses, it's like, in the 80s, you couldn't go wrong with buying IBM because everybody else did. And you might not going to get the greatest deal in the world, but you're not going to get, it's not the worst thing either. You're getting something relatively average, and there's a certainty in that, right? Average is certainty. Most people, a lot of people who are thinking like this lady, she's wants something different than average. So she's probably going to want to puree her own natural foods. She's asking the question.
Yeah.
So she's probably going to want to puree her natural foods. She's not actually asking, do I move on to the next stage? She's asking, which thing do I do? Well, the very fact that you haven't already decided means you want to fundamentally do the thing that's a little more difficult, and you're just looking for people to push you over the edge. So push over the edge. If you're choosing one that's you think is less healthy, whatever is, choose the one that you think is healthier. Generically speaking, puree your table food. There's nothing wrong with going to the store and buying the stuff made in.
Amen. I used to go buy organic broccoli for the girls, and puree that in a blender. And Amy, trees. She called them little trees.
We buy most of our kids' food at the grocery store. I'm pretty sure, just whatever was on the shelf. So there's nothing wrong with either way, and there's perfectly fine people who have raised by both, and people who are unhealthy that were raised by the opposites. So that's not the deciding factor. The deciding factor is that you think about it and you care about it and you make a conscious decision. That's the important part. I would suspect that she's end up going to making puree in her table food and getting them in.
Yeah.
And there is some sense into getting them off of the baby food and onto more, normal eating as soon as possible, simply because as soon as they are ready for it, simply because why wouldn't you? Why would you want to keep them in a stage longer than they need to be? The minute they can start chewing and eating food, you have them chewing and eating food, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Why would you keep them on longer? So there is that. Now, you don't necessarily have to push it, but
well, apparently he has a wide range. He's accepted stuff. Applesauce.
Oh, then if
at the beginning,
if you've got a child who loves to experiment, loves all the wide flavors and textures and all that, have fun.
Yeah, you're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Just be careful as with size chunks and those kind of things, and make sure you're aware and you know how to dig a chunk out of the baby's throat if they're choking on it and all that good fun stuff that almost every parent has had to deal with at some point.
And your heart stops.
It does.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We've all had to deal with it because they're still learning to swallow. I mean, we choke on water. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I choke on water. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's not the end of the world. It's things they've got to learn. And so there's nothing wrong with 6 months is perfectly reasonable. How's that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Knock yourself out. Do what next steps you think is appropriate is my answer to that question.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer the long way to get to that answer is do whatever you feel is appropriate. You'll be fine. Stop asking the internet for help on this question.
You got this.
Yeah. You're asking the question. You're strongly considering it. You got it. Just do it. Okay.
Bedtime in my house feels like running a zoo, and I'm losing the war.
Yeah.
She got 3, under 10.
Yeah. I know. And this is just life ain't fair. That's how it works. Yeah. Bedtime is going to feel like that until you give up the idea of bedtime, especially if you're trying to get all of them to go to bed at the same time. That's not going to happen. The older ones are not going to want to go to bed at the same time as the younger ones. You send the younger ones to bed early, which oddly enough gives you a chance to get the older ones to calm down. So when it's time for them to go to bed, that they're more ready for it.
Yes.
Because they're no longer in the room. They're out watching TV, a movie, something that's relatively calm, while the younger one is going through his bedtime process. So you can kind of use that. But if you've got night owls, you're just going to be having this argument forever until you give it up and let nature take its course, with the consequences of their sleep choices. They're not quite ready. If they're under 10, they're not quite ready for that. That's about 13. But Hey, you can stay up as late as you want. You're still getting up at 6:30. Yeah, they'll stay up till 3. They're young. They can put it up. They can do it for a few days. Yeah. Gator being young. There came a point where I let my boys and the young one, the girl, stay up as late as they want. I didn't no longer give them bedtimes. They could stay up as late as they want. They were getting up the next day whenever they had to get up and go to school or whatever the thing was. It was going to happen. So
Get dressed in the car.
I don't care. Going to school in your pajamas. I don't care. It's not my problem. So, but at this age, it is. It's going to feel like a zoo, and it's going to feel like you're losing the war. And yeah, welcome to having 3 children under 10. That's just how it is. The best you can do at those kind is kind of keep it to a low roar, right?
Yes.
That's the success.
Yeah.
Yeah. The success is
it is.
that's you just kind of have to redefine your version of success.
There we go. Yeah.
Redefine your version of success. Get the youngest one to bed a little earlier than the other ones, so the other ones have a time to calm down, and you can calm it down a little bit. But here's the thing, especially if they're boys, you've got to let them get that energy out. Otherwise, it's going to extend the length of that time before they're ready for bed. So find something. Find something for them to do to get that energy out, because they're going to have to get it out. That's why boys don't sit still, right? Asking boys to sit still for long periods of time is silly, quite frankly. It's not that they can't do it, but they are still, people say, well, they'll sit there and they'll play their video games. Yes, but they're expending a lot of mental energy. It's not physical energy they're expending, but there's, the brain is 80% of the energy. So they're spending a lot of mental energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter how they're, using that energy. Just get them to use that energy. Physical energy works better because it's 100%. But but I get it. These days it's hard. You can't really send the kids out to play until dark anymore. It's not, like when we were kids or when I was a kid. Yeah, go outside and don't come home until it's dark, till the lights come on. And we were fine with that, which is a surprising thing.
I know.
Sweet. Oh man, no, it's not dark yet. I can still see the sky. It's still blue. Trying for us to get to stay out as late as possible. You literally couldn't come home until it was dark. All right. What is it next?
Okay. This poor mom correcting rudeness. She's got a 7-year-old little girl.
Uh-huh.
And she was hoping for this sweet little thing.
You didn't teach her to be a sweet little thing. Where'd she learn her rudeness?
Don't know.
She learned this somewhere. Now, maybe she learned it in the media she's engaging in, right? Maybe she spent too much time on video sites that have rude characters, and so she's just copying what she's been seeing. It's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's got an older sibling who has bad attitudes. Something. Maybe she's got a friend at school and she's copying her friends at school. It's entirely possible.
It is.
Or she's copying you and you're actually getting a reflection of how you behave. And maybe there's some mirror searching to be done. Don't know. Again, all these things are entirely possible. But the best way to correct rudeness is to correct it when you see it immediately. We don't behave like that. At 7, that still works. We don't behave like that. Right. Yeah. But you have to model that behavior.
Yes, you do.
So you can correct the rudeness, show them the proper way, make them do the proper non-rude thing, force them to do it. At 7, you can still force them to do it. It's like nothing else. anything else. You just have to retrain how they think through these things. There may be some questions to ask, how they become so selfish and all that stuff, and maybe recontemplate some of your parenting methods. Or maybe they just got a rude child. It's a phase. These things happen.
7.
Yeah, 7. They're trying on things. They're trying on different personalities, right? You saw this in a movie once, and it was funny. So now they're trying to be funny, and it's not funny. They could just try to be funny, and because they're 7, they don't understand the nuances and complexities of all that.
Yeah.
So, and you didn't say how rude or what kind of rudeness. There's none of that there. So, correcting a specific type, but it's just like correcting any type of behavior that you don't want, right? You disincentivize it. You don't reward them in any form, so you don't give them the response they're looking for. You show them and model the correct behavior, and if it continues, then you start giving disincentives when they behave like that. You don't start with the disincentives, right? You start by not rewarding it, modeling the proper behavior, and then if they still don't catch on, then you start with it. Disincentives, we'll call it. So that's my suggestion.
And be patient. It's going to take some time.
They're 7. They're learning how to get through the world, right? This is not a one-day thing.
No.
Okay.
I don't have any more ideas for how to parent my daughter. Okay, she's 13. She's smoking weed, and she's going outside. She's sneaking out at night.
At 13,
she's a little young for that.
Yeah, well, that's the real part. Is she's young? Well, it depends. They could be going on the roof or something. It may not be as dangerous as it seems.
Oh, the roof. That's not dangerous.
Well, of all the other things 13-year-old girls could be doing, go sitting on the roof with their friend smoking some pot is not the most dangerous thing on the planet. Not them saying it should be done. I'm just saying they could be out doing much dumber things. Grand scale of dumb things.
All right.
On the grand scale of dumb things 13-year-old girls can be doing, that's not the dumbest. Right? Mm-hmm. It's on the list. I'm just saying. Now, how do you deal with it? This is the great question that has been asked since the beginning of the ability to ask this question. How do you make your 13-year-old child useful and not self-destructive? The first part is, okay, what part of their life is making them unhappy that they're willing to sacrifice their future for it? Is it school? Is it some trauma that they've dealt with that they haven't? Maybe they're dealing with depression or, undiagnosed ADHD. Who knows what it is? Something that they're trying to deal with. But that's where these things normally come from at that age, right? It's a little early. So it's not like they're 15 or 16 and, okay, this is kind of in the normal range of 15, 16-year-old behaviors as they're trying to, learn how to be an adult in the world. Mm-hmm. This is, I don't care about my future life because I'm unhappy, and you're going to have to figure out why they're unhappy. Which part of their life is making them this unhappy? That they're looking for an escape already. At 13 years old, it's often school or school related in some shape, manner, or form, right? School adjacent at best.
Friends.
Not even necessarily friends. School is difficult. Maybe she doesn't do well in school. It's the wrong environment for her. Combine it with ADHD or depression or anxiety or any of the other things that kids are dealing with these days as our schools get more and more regimented. It could very well be that's the wrong environment for them. But also at 13, there's traumas 13-year-olds can have gone through and not dealt with. Friends could have died. It could have been something more personal, kind of trauma that she hasn't shared. There's a wide variety of things that could lead to this unhappiness. And that's where you want to start. Because if you start with the punishment, I'm suspecting you've already tried all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So
She has.
So then you're going to have to go to something more foundational. Because what other choice do you have? You're at your, you've used all the normal tools. So you're going to have to go through non-normal tools. Maybe this in the old days, they would send some of these kids would be sent off to school. If you could have them, if you had them more money, you go off to boarding school or some kind of thing.
Yeah.
They kind of figured this out. The children who, for whatever reason,
I believe they still do, darling.
Well,
they have the money.
Yeah, but they're less reachable for middle class.
Well, yeah.
These days, it used to be reachable for middle class. It'd be a sacrifice, but you could do it, and it's no longer really reachable for middle class. So, but there are alternatives. If it's school related, there's online education. There's smaller schools. There's tutors. They now have learning pods and hands-on education. So the other thing is to find something that engages them. Find a hobby, whatever, something they're inherently good at, maybe something they're inherently interested at, and let them pursue that. Give them something positive to do to fill their thinking time.
That's a good one.
So, but you're going to have to get something, you're going to have to go more foundational, right? The standard parenting techniques haven't worked. So you're just going to have to go to something more foundational and figure out what the root causes are. And then, as for anything else, find out something they like, find out something they're interested in, and let them pursue that, even just as a hobby.
Definitely.
You want them to latch on to something positive, and so you've got to find it and help them latch on to something positive. So that's my suggestions. Okay.
I'm frustrated when I don't know the answer to a question the kids are asking.
Well, this is when you get to go something, I don't know, but we can find out together.
Yeah.
And you get to explore and find out. And this is the wonderful world of, today's in the world of AI and internet searches. And you can go on this wonderful journey together, right? Through interactive websites.
Yeah.
And interactive learning, YouTube videos. There's all kinds of ways you guys can learn about whatever they're trying to answer. But there's also times it's okay to tell them, I don't know. And I don't have time to look it up right now. And so it's wonder is good. It's good for kids to wonder things and to think about things. You don't always need to have the answer right away.
Yeah.
Let them contemplate, let them think, let them imagine. It's okay. It's not a bad thing to let your children imagine the world. Will they get it wrong? Of course they will, but so did you. Just, don't spoil the wonder by answering every question. It's okay to leave some unanswered for now, especially if you don't know the answer, because you're not qualified to give it. There were times when my daughter had questions that I didn't have answers for. So my answer was, okay, let's find someone qualified to give you this answer. I don't know. Women's health questions. How the heck am I supposed to know? I don't have the slightest idea. Single father of boys. And I got this last one's a daughter. I don't know what to do with this thing. So we better go ask somebody. So you found a nurse to go ask. That's what you do. So that's what you do. Go ask somebody.
Yeah.
But it's okay to leave questions unanswered. It's also okay to leave questions unanswered. But you do have options, right? You have the wonderful world of the internet, YouTube, Wikipedia, AIs to do searches and research for you. You've got all that. Heck, Google's AI will even create a podcast and info video for you on a subject. So you knock yourself out with those kind of things. Then you have the personal things. You can literally just go ask somebody. But it's also okay to say, I don't know, and I don't have the time to answer it right now, and just let their imaginations run wild. I would never say lie to your children, but, giving them an answer that's not an answer but feeds their imagination is not necessarily a bad thing. Even if you know the answer, you don't necessarily have to answer their question. You could answer it in a way that just leads them to imagine. Granted, you have to be on top of your game that day to do that, but it's high expectations for every time, But sometimes you're right in the parenting zone, man, and
you pull one out.
Those are the days. Okay? That was a good parenting day. Latch on to those, because there's more of the other ones where I have no idea what I'm doing. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, a lot of those.
There's a lot more of those. Okay, so what is next?
Oh dear. 14-year-old says she'll never date
Sweet.
anyone
Sweet.
ever.
Sweet. What's the problem here? I don't see a problem with this. Don't worry about it.
Big time. Do not worry about it. She'll change her mind in 3 months,
And she'll change it back in 3 months after that.
After that again, men are all scum. They'll never date again. You got one of those.
Yeah, and then she'll be into women for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just let her work through whatever it is she's working.
She's got a little journey she's on.
What she doesn't like is the human race at the moment. For whatever reason, right? There's plenty of reasons to dislike the human race if you think about things too much and you put humans above other animals. There's plenty to dislike about the human race. I get it. And she's in that stage. It's okay. At one point, she'll accept that she's part of this madness, and she'll accept it. But
Not today.
not today. Let her be.
Yeah, she'll be all right.
She'll be all right. Don't worry about it. She's 14. What does she know? It's just, she knows the emotions she's feeling today. That's what she knows. She knows those very, very well. She knows the emotions she was feeling yesterday, and back in time. She knows those very well. She has no idea what she's going to feel in 2 days.
No.
And it's perfectly fine. That's every 14-year-old human being has gone through that. And not knowing what their emotions are going to be from minute to minute. It's just being 14.
It is. It's part of, and if you think back, you went through a couple of things yourself. Yeah.
All you want to be there.
Nobody gets out of puberty.
No. Just be there to support her emotions of the moment. That's it.
That's all you do.
You don't need to judge them. You don't need to agree with them. You don't need to disagree with them. Just acknowledge that she's having them.
Yeah.
And so she continues to feel she can express them to you. That's it.
Keep them talking.
Yep. That's all you want as toddlers. You just want them to be able to communicate these things to you. So as long as she's talking to you about this stuff, you're on top of things.
Yeah.
Take that as a success. She's willing to talk to you about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
She hasn't locked herself on the roof smoking pot with her next door neighbor. So be happy.
It's okay.
Yeah. You got a better problem than the person 2 questions back. So
yeah,
look at it that way. All right, what's last?
Okay. How can I wash my toddler's hair? Well,
water and soap?
No. Use
that's what we use.
No-tear shampoo. And you have to fold the washcloth so it fits across their forehead and their eyes. And have to tilt their head back.
No, that's for pre-toddlers. We're talking toddlers. Okay, for boys, you wash their head, you take the big jug, you dump it all on their head, water all over, and they're done. All that other stuff just extends the trauma. So you just get it done as fast as possible. That's it. That's how we did it. Now, granted, had a lot of boys, so maybe it was a a routine thing, just getting through. You have to have to get through as quickly as possible because you got no choice. But they all turned out fine by essentially dumping a bunch of water on their head to get the soap out. You don't have to be that careful once they're toddlers. Beforehand, yes, right? Babies, you put them in the thing, you're being all careful. Completely agree. But once they're toddlers and they're kind of wandering around, they're fine. Just dump them and get it over with. Yeah. Otherwise, extend the trauma. They're crying. They're all freaking out because they're laying. They're all screw it. Just dump the button. Just get there.
There's also these little visors that are made specifically for toddlers who hate to have their hair washed, and it's keeping the water out of their eyes. That's the big thing.
Or you can just dump a bucket of water on their head and rinse it all out all at once. There's the choices. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they get used to it and all is well. So, and that's it. That's the roller coaster of parenting. There's no manual. There is no breaks and no shortage of surprises. Have a good night. And please remember to love everybody.
Good night.